All right, good morning, class. Let's go ahead and pick off from where we left off last semester. So part of our fall final, we had to do those 100 multiple choice questions, but we also had 4 free response questions. Now, originally, I had intended that you guys try at least 3 of those 4 free response questions, but due to the shenanigans that the freshmen were pulling in the hallways, we figured due to time constraints, it was more fair if we decided to go with 2 questions instead of the 4. So if you happen to do question number 1 as one of your 2 free response questions, you're lucky because that's going to be our first video right here. Now, I've been talking to a lot of you guys about breaking up your answers into smaller parts, okay? So let's go ahead and get started with our little notepad. Now, what I mean by that is I want you guys to explicitly write 1A subpart 1 and go ahead and like circle that or something just so that I know, oh, okay, this is part A1 for question number 1. Okay, there's no confusion that could happen there. I don't want you guys to write huge bodies of text because then that makes it really tough on the grader. Now, it's not so bad when it's me, Mr. T, that's grading your paper, but imagine an AP reader out in, I don't know, like Columbus, Ohio, that has to read 4,000 of these. After maybe, I don't know, maybe the first couple hundred, my eyes would get tired, I would be strained, my patience would be kind of wearing thin. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to make it easy on the grader. Okay, so part A1 for question number 1, we're dealing with 300 million US citizens and we're producing 200 million tons of waste each year. A1 is asking, according to the estimates given, how many pounds of trash in 1 year does the average US citizen produce? Now remember, here it's asking for pounds. The information up here is saying 200 million tons of waste, okay? So we have to be a little careful for that. We have to actually do some conversion. So let's say we had that 200 million tons of waste. How can we write that in scientific notation? Well, we could say 200 times 10 to the 6 tons of waste per year. Okay, and it's asking per person. So how many people do we have in the United States? Well, 300 million. How would we write that in scientific notation? 300 times 10 to the 6 people. All right, so this is our first part, just setting up our problem. If you had trouble getting here, you just, I guess it might be an issue of reading the question and knowing how to apply it, okay? So 200 times 10 to the 6 tons per year per 300 million people, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Well, there's some stuff that we could easily cancel out. Let's see. Everything here, this 2 or these double zeros followed by this times 10 to the 6 is the same as in the numerator and the denominator. So the only thing that's really left behind is this 2 over 3. Okay, so we got rid of all those nasty scientific notation and we're just left with a very simple fraction, 2 over 3. Okay, so this is 2 tons per year per 3 people. Now, how are we going to get that so that it's in pounds per person? Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So let's say we have 200 tons per year. Okay, and we had this over 3 people. Well, tons per year, how much is 1 ton? 1 ton weighs 2,000 pounds. Okay, now I'm going to use factor labeling to get rid of these tons, okay? So if you notice, the ton up here is in the numerator while the ton down here is in the denominator. So if we just do simple factor labeling, we get rid of our tons and we're left with pounds per year per person. So now we have 2 times 2,000 pounds, which is just 4,000 pounds, right, per year for every 3 people. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So now we have 4,000 pounds per year for 3 people. Now we just do some simple long division. So what's 4,000 divided by 3? Of course, this is going to continue for as long as we want it to continue. Okay, so let's just say it's 1,333 pounds, right? So because we divided it by 3, we can now say, oh, for every person, we're going to produce 1,333 pounds of trash every year. So let's go ahead and box our final answer. That makes it really easy for the grader to see. So if I were the grader, I would give you guys 2 points. All right, 1 point is just for this whole setup right here, just 1 point. And really it just stems from the beginning part up here. If you got that beginning part, you already got 1 point. It doesn't matter if you screwed up somewhere down the road, you got that 1 point set up, okay? Now, the next part, the second point, of course, is going to be from your answer. Now, your second point needs to not only include the number, but also all the units that follow behind it. So please make sure to write down your units, because that is just a simple point right there, okay? You can't just put down naked numbers, you have to put down numbers with units. So this was part A1. In the next video, I'll help you guys with A2.